Hello and welcome to another episode of the Vault Dwellers Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Mac. With me, as always, in video for hopefully the second time, Gary Moore. Gary, how you feeling?
Feeling good. This is our second podcast of the night, and I can tell you, twice in one night, that's not happened in a while.
Usually it's one and sleeping. I know the feeling. Our Hoodie is with us as always as well. Hoodie, how are you feeling getting into this second podcast?
Oh, I'm absolutely jazzed.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff, jazzed indeed. So obviously, as I said there, hopefully should be our second episode in video. We did the Christmas memories, should have been a few weeks ago now by the time that this goes live. And, I really enjoyed that episode. It was really good. Obviously, for us, it's literally just happened and we're just rolling into this next episode to ruin the magic of it all for you. But I just wanted to make sure Gary was covered with the fact he's got the same jumper on as the last one that we've done.
Thanks.
But we just want to put that out there. Gary's hygiene is so Gary's hygiene is spot on with just this exact same night. So it should be, as I said, the second episode that we are in video. We're going to be doing a review of the first Home Alone. If we've snagged any new viewers, listeners, because of our video offerings now, and you haven't managed to check out the Vault Dwellers previously, this is a podcast with three friends bringing together a whole range of topics to yourselves in order to bring our 10-year dream in the making of podcasting together a reality. It's a whole load of fun. We'll cover loads of topics from gaming, films, and all sorts of other topics, kind of gaming, life, questions, all that kind of good stuff. So there's something for everybody. No topic is off the table. Have a wee look. We're on episode 13 now, so we've got a few under our belt, and I'm sure you'll find something that you're going to click with. I won't hold these guys back any further. Everybody's itching. What are these guys' thoughts on Home Alone? Why are we picking the old Home Alone? Because Gary's OCD and we have to pick the first. We have to pick the original, and it has to be the first. No, it's the classics. We're all about the classics here, and that's why we picked Home Alone, because it's just something that we can all get our hands on, and it was the first one that came to mind. We really enjoy a wee review here, as we've obviously done in previous episodes with Thor, Love and Thunder, and we also did Hocus Pocus, which is our October episode. Just before I throw it to our good friend Hoodie, this will actually be, if all goes well, the very last episode of the Vault Dwellers for this year.
Oh.
Ever, yep, indeed. It will be the last episode of the year, barring any surprise recordings throughout the festive period, which I highly doubt will be very busy, I'm sure. So I just want to obviously say thanks very much, everybody, for the support. We started about six months ago with it, Gary, the historian of the Vault Dwellers. We started about 6 months ago, and it's been really good, really strong episodes, really great for us, both from a bonding perspective and just trying to get an idea of the work in a probably a newfound respect, speaking personally, in terms of hosting things like this, podcasting, and just the research that at times goes into pulling together some of these things, even something that's quite basic and simple, and as the Christmas memories. You have to put a wee bit of thought into what you want to talk about, and then try and frame that as questions to other people for them to put their thoughts into it. It's something different, and I've really enjoyed the challenge of that, and the camaraderie of everybody coming together to make this podcast what it is, between a lot of background stuff that the three of us kind of pull together in the group chat, and Hoodie with the fucking best art we've ever had. Sorry, Gary. That kind of Gary's like, I'm glad somebody else can take that mantle. So we're more than happy, obviously. At what we've done so far. So happy that we're obviously looking, and as I mentioned there, Hoodie's kind of art talents. We're going to finally put them to good use, and we're going to look at bringing some merch to the table, just jumper, t-shirts, that kind of things. We'll kind of rehash and rework some of the kind of logos and artwork that we've done into a more suitable style for clothing and the like. So keep an eye out for that in the new year. Very exciting for ourselves, and I feel like we're finally kind of getting to the point where we've got a kind of system in place in terms of how these kind of thumbnails are starting to come out, how the topics are kind of starting to form and things like that. And so I'm really excited for the new year and what these kind of different things brings to us. So as I said, I'm going to throw it over to Hoodie because he is the best fucking researcher that we've ever had. Do you know what is funny? Anytime I have the opportunity, I always like to talk Hoodie up because he's the humblest person in the room. So I'm going to throw over to Hoodie for a wee rendition of Hoodie's facts on Home Alone.
All right, now hear me out. There was a lot of facts in this movie. It's like so much trivia, little fun goofs, all the things you can think of. I narrowed it down because there were it seemed like hundreds. I might be overestimating, but I pulled these from a few sites. I'm sorry I can't name all of them because I don't remember them. And take every bit of information as a grain of salt. I always like to say that, just in case. Who knows? I can't verify everything, all right? I'll tell you what. But I tried my best, and I'll say, Home Alone, directed by Chris Columbus, famous for Mrs. Doubtfire, you might know. He also made some wizard movie that I've never heard of, but it turned out to be some like weird big franchise. Who knows? And I will say this movie was released November 16th, 1990, with a box office of $476 million.
Wow.
That's wild to me. I did not realize how popular this movie is or was. And it is, in my heart, like, if we had a Mount Rushmore of Christmas movies, it's up there. But I didn't know it was that successful. That is pretty awesome. In 1990, this was the highest grossing movie domestically in the U.S.
Wow.
Another wild fact of like, what? Oh my God. In comparison, obviously there is, a large difference in what money means then and now. But Black Adam just barely cracked 400 million. And that movie had a $200 million budget, or X amount after that. But moving on, there's a lot of fun things like Kieran Culkin, who is in the show Succession, plays Fuller, the kid who's like the bedwetter in the movie. That's actually Macaulay Culkin's brother in real life, which is awesome.
Wow.
It's very fun. So we all love John Hughes. If you haven't seen a John Hughes movie, listen, what are you doing? Living under a rock? They're amazing. It's some of the best movies ever made. John Hughes, though, was very strict with rules, and he did not like people deviating from his scripts. Although he was very good friends with John Candy, and almost every line that John Candy says in this movie was improvised, and he was the only person allowed to do that, which I thought was a fun fact and like just showed how much respect he had for John Candy. John Hughes did. The blueprint that Kevin makes was actually drawn by Macaulay Culkin. Which was a fun fact too, where he's like laying out all the traps and everything. He blueprinted that himself as a kid.
Wow.
By all accounts, everyone on set loved Macaulay Culkin. Like, just they raved about how professional he was. Joe Pesci went as far to say he was like talking to an old man. So, everybody loved Macaulay Culkin on that set. Daniel Stern, who plays Marv in the movie, had rubber feet during all of his scenes where he was barefoot going through the house. This, similar to Bruce Willis, who also wore rubber feet in a classic Christmas movie, Die Hard. I did not realize rubber feet were such a prominent thing in movies until now. And you could have fooled me because I didn't know they were.
No, I literally
No,
probably
come on.
to this fucking conversation, I didn't even know it was a thing.
Yeah,
No.
I was wild to me. The director, Chris Columbus, he was originally scheduled to direct National Lampoon's A Christmas Vacation, and he didn't like Chevy Chase so much that he went to John Hughes to ask if he could find him a different project he had in mind, and then he was given Home Alone. So, what a world!
That's crazy.
Also, just further proves that like nobody likes Chevy Chase's whatever. But those were some of my favorite fun facts, and I'm excited to see what all of your fun memories are of this movie. I'll pass it back to you, Mac.
Can I just
Thanks very much.
add
Yeah.
one fact that I found as soon as I went to the IMDb? It was the first one that came up, and it was the picture of Buzzy's girlfriend was actually the art director's son.
Oh, was it?
Because Chris Columbus thought it was too mean to use a real girl that he decided to use it as the art director's son.
Ah, clever. Aye, fair enough.
Because
That's
he
a
literally
difficult
says-
thing to cast.
He actually says "oofed woof."
Aye. That's a difficult thing to cast. So, fair dues. Thanks very much, Hoodie, for the fun facts. Very wide variety bringing to the table. So, I really appreciate that. So, for me, then, I'd like to just obviously kick off with going around the table and just kind of speaking about where this movie kind of places in the pantheon of Christmas movies. How often are we watching this kind of thing? I'll kick off just as I typically don't, but I'm going to take a turn at kicking off the topic or this part of the topic and just say that this movie, like for me growing up, Home Alone wasn't one of the kind of go-to movies. Zoe took a kind of late affinity to it. She would watch kind of all of them quite a lot, but for me, it's not something that I have a lot of memories of watching when I was wee. I think in terms of we would usually kind of watch films like this if they were on TV. Strangely enough, and I know it's not the same vein, I think I've seen the film like Richie Rich, which comes to mind. Like I know it's not the same. I know it's not the same, but that kind of kid running around the house, staying whatever the fuck he wants, that is like the version that I've seen most. I know it's not the same, but that's the version that I've seen of that type of ilk of film. So that for me, but so I don't have the affinity for watching it, but I did watch it. I think last year and this year. It's not something that I watch every year. I wouldn't say it was like a low ranking. Like there's a lot of Christmas films that I would count as like must watches. Your Elves, your Grinches, Santa Claus, that kind of thing. And then I'll take a kind of notion for Christmas Chronicles and that kind of tiered stuff. I would say this would be right underneath your Grinches and things, where it's not something I wouldn't be raging if I missed it. Put it that way, like in terms of a year, I wouldn't be like, oh, I haven't watched that. I'm gutted I never made time to watch Home Alone. Like it's just something that I generally I don't tend to watch, but still a great movie, and I'm really looking forward to jumping in and going through it. But Gary, I know you have a much more kind of stronger feelings for Home Alone and where that kind of sits for yourself.
Yeah, I've probably seen this movie probably about 50 times or something like that. Like I've really seen this movie a lot, and I've only been here for 31 Christmases, so as you can imagine, that's quite a lot. It's definitely for me, it's high. This is a high tier. And Home Alone 2, that for me, these are a must too. that I must watch at Christmas. I just absolutely love these movies. I'm quite a fan of slapstick. I've always kind of been, and I
Yeah,
think this kind of sits in that slapstick kind of comedy, most definitely. So for me, these are really, really high tier. I don't really know when I first seen it, but um, I don't remember a Christmas and no watching it. You know what I mean? It's been
yeah,
that long now.
aye. No, fair enough. What about you, Hoodie? Where does it sit for you in terms of? I mean, I'm not expecting like a rankings or anything like that. Although I suspect, sorry, that you will have some sort of rankings that you'll be able to pull out of fresh air. But where does the film sit with yourself?
I mean, this is probably my second favorite Christmas movie of all time. Where,
Oh, nice.
I mean, Elf would be at the top, and then this is like not far from it because I just remember watching this as a kid and thinking, I wish I could be Kevin. Like I want to be like him. I want to be as smart as him. And as I've grown up, like, I start to realize, oh, he's kind of a little shit, but uh, it's still,
we'll get into that.
yeah, it's still every time holds up for me where I'm like, God, no, it never gets old. Just never gets old.
No, that's fair enough. I think then if I'd like to get kicked off, but since we have two artists, or an artist and a half in Gary, but we've got two great artists here, and I just wanted to. I thought I need to ask the question of what you think about the classic logo in Home Alone. Like, I just think it's one of the things that when you see it, I think it's just so simple. The logo, but at the same time, like as soon as it came up on my screen, like it was just one of the things that when I seen it, I'm like, fucking, it's so simple. Yet I would never think to do that. You know, you have a home in the wee house and whatever else. Like it's just, I don't know, it's just something that I thought to myself. Do you know, I want to speak to these guys, see if they've got any thoughts. Probably don't because I'm springing it on them last minute. But if there's it, does it? What do you think? What do you think? Hoodie, have you got any kind of thoughts in terms of the Home Alone logo and probably the magic and nostalgia bone that it tickles as soon as you kind of see it?
I mean, like you said, it is so simple and so refined where I'm like, I know it. I know that font. I know what I'm looking at. I love the little house in the middle. It's great. Uh, I I think it's one of the best. Like, this is what it is.
Yeah, aye,
this is it.
Mhm.
Uh,
aye,
you don't have to think too much about it. It's not like big or flashy. It is just Home Alone and a home in the center and enjoy it. And there you go.
aye.
I
Aye,
mean,
especially like they've got the wee one single light on, like, and
yeah,
it's upstairs, and it's like, it's to basically say like there's no doubt in, like you can see there's no other lights on. It's
Yeah.
actually one person. They are home alone.
yeah.
Just
Oh, yeah. Well, I
perfectly
mean, even
illustrated.
to the box art or the poster itself with Kevin with the famous pose, which was another fun fact of that was an accident. That wasn't supposed to happen.
Really?
John Hughes liked it so much they just left it in, and that's like what it's synonymous with this movie.
Yeah.
So,
Aye.
I mean, that on top of the Home Alone, and you're like, oh, mischief. I just know it all goes in tandem. It all works together. All of that, the logo, his pose. I like the little frames where they're in the four frames, but it looks like a window. If you look at one of the posters, it's all smart.
Yep.
Love this movie.
Mhm.
Aye, for sure. What about you, Gary? You getting to add to that? As Hoodie's perfectly kind of
I
summarised.
think Hoodie's kind of perfect summarised it up there. I think this when it pops up Home Alone and it's got that wee tune, that wee Home Alone tune, and it's like. No, I've absolutely butchered that, but everybody
He's-
knows it.
Gary is
Everybody knows
terrible
it,
for
right?
tunes,
I'm
by the
terrible
way.
for
Like, he
tunes.
can't even do the fucking Super Mario tune, right? He would, wait till he keeps going, but aye.
He's actually not terrible at them. He's just helping us with the MCA. That's all. That's all.
YMCA.
Yeah.
So that moment, and it's just like and it just like zooms right up to the wee house and stuff like that. It's just
Mhm.
as Hoodie said, everything that Hoodie says, is perfect for it, really.
I would have to agree. So yeah, like I said, I just wanted to get your guys' opinion, just because I'd seen it and it was like the first thing I wrote down was iconic logo, because it's just something that stands out so much for such a important franchise, especially at Christmas time. So if you've not heard one of our reviews before, typically what we've done in the past, especially for the Thor, Love and Thunder, was to just quickly kind of run through and kind of chunks of the film, and kind of pick out our favourite moments, different bits that are popping up, and then we can kind of discuss characters and kind of subplots and threads as we come up to them throughout these kind of portions. So I'll just kind of jump right in, and obviously we have the setting of the scene where we are in the Christmas kind of period. Literally, the movie just fucking starts the way that the full fucking thing seems to run on. It's madness. The place is in fucking disarray. Families running everywhere, all that kind of stuff. And I don't know about you, I found it really really strange that the police like the policeman's just standing there and everybody's just running past whatever else. It was as if it was like such a normal thing, but like there'd be a policeman there. Do you know what I mean? Like nobody really showed any kind of like, hold on a minute, that's like somebody, that's a police there. Do you know what I mean? Like we would be. You know what I mean? Like it's just if it's like, oh, it's somebody else in the house. I thought that was quite funny, just to just to kind of kick that off, that nobody just seemed to suspect this policeman. I'm not saying like they should have looked at him when he's a wee bit dodgy, or I'm not saying that. It's just when you see that, you know what I mean, if somebody's in your house, they generally take awareness to it. Like, I mean, I know the kids maybe aren't giving a fuck, but you think one of them would be like, "Oh, there's a fucking police guy to the stair."
Adults literally pass them and they're just like, "Oh no, I don't live here. Oh, I'm busy," and just walk by them. You're like, sure, one of the adults are like, "Wait a minute, why are you here?" I just speaks to the chaotic nature of the entire house, doesn't it? Like, if anybody knows, like, are you even having sisters, brothers, or your own children, God's sakes, you try to do that school run in the morning, you need to try and get like a couple of them ready, never mind try to get a full house of Waynes ready, I mean, they're outmanned. It's like 4 adults to about 12 Waynes or something like that, and I think it's 10 Waynes. I think it's 10 children there is between them all, and it's just like that house would have, and they're going on holiday as well the next day. It's just like the most stressful and chaotic point in anybody's life. And that film does it perfectly at the start.
Oh yeah. Well, I also take from that scene where I'm watching them all run about. Everything's chaotic, but they're also an affluent family where I think they're so much more dismissive to like their surroundings or the people around them, that even a notable figure like somebody of authority just does not matter. Like that's not important to them. They have other concerns right now. They're going to Paris. Like they're taking 14 children, 10 adults to Paris with $100,000. Like they all go first class when you're watching it. I mean, they're loaded. So like him standing there is like, yeah, he's probably one of our security guards. Like there's no concern. I mean, even to what you and Gary are saying of like, oh, the kids wouldn't give a fuck about this. They're not going to care. The kids are concerned about bullying each other at this point. That's all it is. So when the adults walk by, it is that there's like 90,000 sounds going on at the same time. I can't even see. It's blinders on, right? That's where I read that scene, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? The cop is the last of my concern right now.
More than likely, especially as I mean, I get stressed out just getting 2 people sorted to the airport, never mind any more than that. So, 100% it probably is. It just, well, I mean, and there's probably going to be points throughout this full kind of discussion review, whatever, where it does sound like, maybe fucking shit talking or nitpicking on different bits, but it's literally just to bring or encourage kind of different talking points on some of these kind of things, because I just think it's funny, some of these these bits and pieces and sign of the times more than anything else for a lot of this. And then obviously, there's, when you look at filmmaking back then, you probably, there's no a lot of different things that you would think of now, kind of thing. And I'll get to what I mean by that probably soon. But we'll keep it to the point where they're kind of going to sleep for the minute, and we'll just kind of run through the different kind of scenes. So the first one that I'd kind of thought of that's kind of worth kind of talking, like Hoodie's already mentioned it, right? But Kevin's a wee fucking shit, by the way. Like, I like him. Everything that he does later on is fucking magic. But oh my god, man, I would have fucking slapped him across the jaw. His mum's on the phone and he's up onto the bed. His feet fucking kicked up with a magazine. Shit talking to his parents, as if like, oh mate, why don't you make me and all that stuff, and then try to talk to her while she's on the phone, and it's he clearly sees she's on the phone, and then obviously the dad's obviously picking him up for, you've fucking left all your toys everywhere. It's just a typical kid. He's not got any cares in the world, but he's just a wee fucking shit, and that kind of starting bit. But that doesn't mean that it's okay that when he goes downstairs, every single person in that fucking room just is mean and just starts fucking bullying him and nitpicking at him. In that kitchen scene, like,
look what you did.
It's absolutely fucking nonsense. But when he's like, what about? So she obviously turns around and says, you've got to pack your bag. That's the most bizarre thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, he's like, not the youngest, but he obviously seems to be the most incompetent.
Yeah, he's the youngest in their family. And
youngest in their family. I would mean like youngest in because obviously there's a slightly younger kid that get kicking about, but he should be, the mum should be doing that for him, and then nobody wants to like help him.
Yeah,
nobody's off to help.
Gary, you have children. Would you make your children pack their entire suitcase to go on vacation?
No, because there'll be nothing in it. There'll be like toys and like one t-shirt or something like that.
Yep.
Toys. Exactly. So I did write, like, obviously they were saying like as if like, why is it so hard to pack a bag or whatever, and it's like, because he's a fucking kid. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he's not gonna.
So going back to what you were saying about him, like in his bed and stuff like that, I think Kevin speaks to me because that was me. Like, I'm the youngest of four, so it was like you had to have a smart move, because you could physically win your battles, and I think Kevin's exact same in this film. He's the smallest. He's not obviously no smaller than his cousin, but he's the smallest in their family, and he's obviously the weakest. So he just picks his battles with his myth. He can get as good as he gets, and that obviously transcends to his mum and dad that he's starting to give cheek to as well. Which happens. It does happen, because that was me. That was totally me. I was that way. And I'd be like, what you gonna do? You going to get dad to scalp me, kind of thing. I think that was a wee hard man. But
my favourite story of that, just to think it is, what you've told me before, where it's he's when his dad turned around and said to him, "Wrestling's no real," and Gary's answer was, "Well, football's no real," like, because he's so upset that his dad was telling him that wrestling was fake. So I can totally see where you're drawing parallels here.
But you're right. You're right with Kevin. Like, I mean, he's supposed to be about 7, 8 years old. No way an adult should be expecting him to be doing anything. Even one of his brothers or sisters says something about like, you need to take your toothbrush, and he's like pure confused that he takes his toothbrush. He's like, what? I'm a toothbrush? Why would you take that kind of thing? It's like he just has the concept what the necessities you actually need to take.
I think they really play on his kind of common sense in that. At that point, but he's never had to think about that, the kind of things. Like, he's a kid, he's the youngest kid, as you say. So I think they obviously that's where that's kind of highlighted. And as younger kids often they gravitate towards the oldest kid's room, which is where we meet our Buzz. What do you think kind of Buzz as a character kind of overall? I feel like he was the kind of first main kind of biggest character in terms of like
Yeah.
personality that you see. Because he's obviously, he's one of those characters that you see them in a lot of films, especially those kind of American family things where there's always one of them that just kind of doesn't give a fuck, or he's over it or whatever else. He's that kind of teen angst thing. He's just much older and doesn't want anybody kind of in about his stuff. But it's pretty much a typical teen room. Spider.
Yeah.
The room, all that kind of stuff, and the posters and all that stuff. Like, what do you think? Who do you seem to have a kind of stronger feelings there in terms of what Buzzy's kind of character? You get any thoughts on him?
So I think John Hughes does. Oh, this was another fun fact, and I'm paraphrasing it, but Buzz was voted like the #1 villain in Entertainment Weekly that year.
Wow.
But John Hughes does something really great, and in parts I think falls short. But with Buzz, I think he nailed it, where he understands like the fears that children have and the anxieties and insecurities, but also the confidences, where Buzz is such an insecure character, but he plays confident so well. And I knew kids like him, right? I had friends who would do the thing of, you see the old man across the street there? All the bodies are in his trash can. He's a serial killer, whatever it is. And he's trying to like put that projection into them. And I think that's where I'm like, John Hughes nailed this character because he is the type of bully that I met as a kid, right? But he's also the type of older brother that my mom has, where, yeah, there's still love there, even though he's a complete dick at times. Like, he does care about his brother on some level. And even if he's like screwing with him, it's coming from a place of, well, I know you're younger, so you're more susceptible to this, and this will be funny for me. It's not I'm like a mustache twirling villain, it's very much that kid version of, I'm gonna screw with you. So I think they nailed Buzz in that regard, and I think he really is like you said, all the stuff around his walls. I'm like, yeah, I mean, the kids who I knew that were like that did have things like that. I knew a kid who had a snake that's just not far off.
Yeah.
Aye,
I have to say, see
pretty good,
that bit with the old man. What's his name again? Old man Marley. That was great. That bit. I thought the urban myth of him was great because that happens in real life. That,
100%.
we had an urban myth in our school that we used to have this big massive Mary statue. I went to a Catholic school, so there's this big Mary statue right outside the head master's office, and we used to always say at night time it used to walk instead, and used to get off its podium and used to walk about the school. And we always used to say it used to always take like different poses, like our face would like change and stuff like that. And that was through the entire school. Everybody knew, even my brothers who are much older than me, like they're enough like 10 years older than me, knew of that myth. That's how it just keeps getting passed down and passed down all the years. So I love that kind of inclusion of this, the urban myth about this, just a random stranger that nobody really talks to.
Aye, I'm glad you brought that up because it was literally the kind of next point that I wrote, because it was so tied obviously to Buzz, how he says his confidence, and that he's just in Andy's insecurity. Like he needs to show Kevin this and introduce Kevin like this already, like just fucking hopeless Wayne. And he's just like, oh, by the way, do you know who that is, kind of thing. And I thought, like, especially for like effectively like a kids movie, like he's still talking about like, the bodies and the bodies turn to salt, and that's what he uses. Like I thought like it was such a nice touch, like because I think it maybe would have escaped like some kids as well, but as an adult you're kind of thinking like, that's fucking disgusting, like obviously it's not a fucking possible thing, bodies don't turn to salt, but just that kind of idea that there's something untoward about this old kind of creepy guy shoveling salt. So
and can I say, see, watching that as a child, I was scared of him. I was like, that guy creeps me out, man, when I was younger. Obviously, if you watched it as an adult, it probably wouldn't, but because you would think like I need to watch the rest of it. But as a child, like when that part, I was like, oh my god, that guy is so creepy.
Aye, I think there's still an eeriness about it, especially like it's just that kind of uncomfortable. Like you don't know the guy, so you can't really assume or say at him. You don't know how long he's had to deal with him or what kind of. I mean, you can imagine between the siblings, the fucking havoc that they've probably caused and the noise that they make early years. So
Right.
he probably, isn't fussed with the fact that they're all standing and watching him at the window, but generally you would imagine a wee, like, a wee wave, a wee, a something
Aye.
acknowledgement, but he literally doesn't change his expression, just on there, with the fucking, there's no shovel, so, aye, that's what it is, isn't it? So, next thing, obviously, the kind of, we introduced the pizza delivery guy, shows up at the door with a fucking mountain of pizzas, and I thought to myself, when he obviously gets there, again, the police officer, or police officer, you like, is still just standing there in the same spot after all this time. He's not made his way around the rest of the house. He's just literally still just standing in the reception. So I just thought one of the things just worth mentioning, the fact that he's just still no fucking he's no
I mean,
any further forward in this fucking madness that's the McAllister's house.
I think that's one of the biggest things for me in this movie, where it's like he is so dedicated to knowing all the information about this house, and I'm like, what is it? It's not like they have. I mentioned earlier they're an affluent family, but they're not one that has like a massive plasma screen TV, or like, what are you stealing from here? Why is this the house that's so important to you? Like like you're saying, he's just standing there for, could be hours. We don't know how much time has passed, right? Like he's just standing there waiting to get the information on their security box. And I'm like, is this the house that like has some kind of golden goose in the basement? Like, what are you looking for here? But also, I'd like to go circle back to this pizza guy, where, we love delivery drivers. All right, okay, I do a great deal of help so I can be lazy. But all I'm gonna say is this man should have to tip them for the amount of times he has caused destruction of property in their home. Who runs into a statue like that? Not once, but later on, again. Who is doing this? This pizza driver is horrible.
That would be me.
Okay. Perfect.
I actually did do that to Gillian's parents. They were away on holiday. I think we were staying at their house, and I reversed into one of their kind of plant pot things. It's like a big metal plant pot thing outside their house. So now every time I reverse towards their new house, it's like right towards the front door, and I'm always like miles away from the door because I'm like, I'm not fucking hitting a single thing. So no, fair play. I forgot about the fact that he knocked over that ornament. Who lets him in the house? Everybody remember that? He doesn't let himself in the house.
I think the police.
Policeman opens the door.
Right.
Harry opens it.
Still a strange thing that he just walks in after somebody at the post office. I don't know if it was me. If it was me, you're opening the door in the post office, but the fuck's going on? But anyway,
because he opens the door and the pizza guy says to him that'll be 134 or whatever he says to him, and he's like, I don't live here.
Aye, which is the war cry of this house, isn't it? He's just in this. Maybe he's used to the bedlam that is the McAllister's house, so he's probably done it annually at this point.
Yeah.
So again, obviously, as I mentioned before, nobody seems fazed at the policeman being there. Least of all, Mr. McAllister, as he heads down the stairs to pay for the pizza. Again, we'll not cover it. It's just fucking madness, and it is what it is. Now, Kevin, obviously, that famous scene where he clocks the chime in the tooth. Which is quite a standout kind of bit for me anyway, because obviously it kind of comes back later in the film. It's very, very difficult, obviously, to try and cast back any kind of memories or anything like that for when, not when you first watched it, but when you were younger. Like, do you think that there would have been any kind of suspicious kind of stuff when you were a wee bit kind of younger, watching that and seeing this guy and he's he's smiling and shiny tooth, whatever else. Like I don't really know that I would have put two and two together back then in terms of seeing. I know that it's a bit of somebody that typically, you know, a trusted policeman's not going to have a shiny tooth. So maybe that is the thing. Maybe that's just two and two. He's no sleek. He's no, he's no kind of a sleazy guy or anything like that. He's just
So
a bit
So
sus in it.
I think for me watching it as a child, I was kind of thinking the same emotions as Kevin through this film. I know it's kind of talking about like later on, but I think it's kind of thingy to this conversation. Like Kevin's looking at him, just thinking like he's a policeman. Like he sees, as you say, he sees his shiny tooth, but he sees him and he just sees policeman. That's it. He's a police. That's in his mind. He's a authority figure. He's a policeman. And then when you see him later and he's got the shiny tooth, that's the point where he's like, well, is he still a police guy? I can't trust him anymore. And then that also comes in with the bit where the police come to his door and he's not opening the door. So it all comes full circle. That he can't even trust the authority figures that he's supposed to trust. And I think I was along with the ride when I think with that as well when I was younger. I can't say I remember specifically, but
Of course,
you see him and you just think it's a policeman, but then obviously as the story transpires.
Yeah, Hoodie, you were saying there?
Yeah, I think this also is taking a movie out of the context of the time and then watching it now, where you have to then put it back where, movies in the 90s, even early 2000s, if you had a shiny tooth or tattoos, you were a bad guy. And we knew it. Like, that was the thing. Now it's no big deal. Like, I see cops all the time with tattoos. I see cops with whatever they have, right? Like, that's not actually a thing, but that was the way for a movie to illustrate this is the bad guy. This is how you're going to know, right? You think of the first scene in, like, Peter Pan where he's talking to Captain Hook and you're not or Wendy's talking to Captain Hook and you're not understanding that he's a bad guy until he grins with his like shiny tooth and you're like, okay, we're against him. We know it now. And so I feel like as a kid, that was just the immediate, like that was ingrained in me. Oh, he's the bad guy. I know now because he has a shiny tooth. It's the cop thing's out the window. But I do like what Gary is saying, where it does go full circle because of that. He now doesn't trust anyone, which is smart way, I guess.
No, 100%. So obviously next, the Pizza guys came, and I'm not going to stop at every single story beat, but there's just so much at this first bit that I just can't. I can't just skip by a lot of these things, and I feel like the first kind of bit where you see Kevin. I don't know what Kevin's been doing when everybody else seems to already be in munching on this pizza, but obviously Kevin comes in. He's looking for his cheese pizza. Now, for me, if they've specifically bought pizzas and they know if you're a parent of a child that only eats cheese pizza, like I don't know, maybe it's just me, I don't know, but you're gonna put a plate and you're gonna take a couple of cheese slices and put a plate. There's Kevin's plate. There you go. I mean, he's the youngest. Like I don't know. Maybe it's just me again and nitpicking, but for me, it's you got to fucking help the way out. I mean, he gets in there and there's no cheese pizza. That's no excuse for him fucking kicking off or whatever else. But it's cheese pizza. He's looking for it. Nothing to be fucking had. So before obviously he starts fighting though, or him and Buzzy's kind of fighting, you obviously see the camera panning on Thor drinking his big, massive gulp of Pepsi, which I just think is the funniest thing. Obviously, I call back to a previous setup where they're turning saying like, "Oh, you're going to be sleeping with Thor, and do you know he's the wee piece of bed? He's already had 2 Pepsis," and you know what I mean. And they're asking him like he's asking for more drinks, and he's that kind of glance and smile at Kevin. One of the best bits at the start, and clearly something that's going to rile Kevin up. So I just thought it's worth mentioning that because it was just so funny when I seen it. I wrote it down right away so that I need to talk about that because it's just so sly and what it was. I mean, and everybody, just like you just said, it's just one of these kind of tropes. Like as soon as you know that they're they fucking like peed the bed or whatever, like you're like, I'm not fucking sleeping with anyone near them, like a younger cousin or whatever else. You're like, I don't want anyone near them. Not a chance that they sleeping in my bed. So again, you've got Buzz, acting in his usual jerk self, where he's like, oh, I've fucking ate all the cheese pizza, and he's kidding on, he's being sick and all that stuff. So the two of them end up fighting. I think this is probably one of the biggest, like strangest scenes ever. Where like he just fucking, he's obviously like starts fighting and fucking spills the drink and all that all over the table, and everybody's turning around to him like, oh, you're such a jerk. And then someone is like, such a disease. Disease. They're calling him a fucking disease. Honestly, like, I just it's such that freeze frame, that effect where he can literally like see like every family member and every one of them looking at him. It's like, obviously it's like exaggerated. I think it's probably for the effect that he is the youngest kid and whatever else. But like, I don't know. It's just one of these strange setups. Very classic, and I think it's funny. It's a good payoff. That perfect camera shot that they've done, and being able to kind of see everybody. But that fucking uncle is an absolute arsehole, by the way.
That's literally what I was about to say. See, as a parent, if that situation happens, you don't expect somebody else to turn around and shout at your rain. See, when he's like, yes, I don't even know what he says. He says, you're a little jerk or something like that to Kevin. And I'd have been like that. Who are you talking to? That's my way. Shut up. I'll get him into trouble. Don't you get him into trouble? Know what I mean? I'd be raging. Never mind. They're all just, they're all, it's fine. You know what I mean? They're all wanting to battle Kevin because he pushed Buzz.
It was watching that scene, and what I think they do so well, again, there are later on points, and maybe I'll make one here, where Kevin doesn't always act like a kid, even though he acts like a kid throughout most of the movie. And this was one of those where I was like, I remember when eyes were turned on me, it felt like the whole world stopped. And so when they cut out the sound and it's only their words and the camera is slowly panning around the room, and you're just like, oh, this is insufferable. This feels so suffocating. I remember just being a kid, and I mean, even if it was a good thing, like people singing happy birthday to me, I just remember feeling like I'm gonna die right now. There's too much attention on me. And so that, from his perspective, and the camera is down where he would be, so he's looking up at like giants as well, because everybody's bigger than you when you're a kid, right? Like, it's so good at capturing that fear and anxiety. Like I said earlier, like the way he knows how certain kids take in anxiety, or kids can take in insecurities. Like, that's one of them. He's doubling down on being an asshole afterwards, but in that moment, like, you get that sense of dread of, oh no, I screwed up, and you can feel it. So it's just such a smart scene.
And that, like, as you continue there, you said like, he doubles down and like being a wee smart ass like later on. But see when that moment, that's the point that I'm like, I feel. I mean, I'm just projecting myself on Kevin, but I'm just like, I feel sorry for him at that moment, because as you said, everybody's looking at him and it's all like, oh, his fault. It's his fault that everybody had a domino effect or whatever. But no one of these being cheeky after that, because he just had everybody call him names and diseases and whatever else, and nobody stuck up for him. Not one person stuck up for him, and everybody's calling him, giving him abuse. And I would be like, I know, as soon as my mum would be like, on the cheek back, you know what I mean? So I can basically, I'm Kevin McAllister.
I can see that. I'm finding that out very quickly here as we go through here. But so Hoodie's spot on there. He doubles down on the kind of cheeky things and delivers some pretty harsh lines. But I feel like it was a wee bit shite where they're like, right, upstairs, no dinner, all that kind of stuff. Like, you're like, what, fucking, you joking? Like, you've no kept him any pizza by, and then all this has happened, and you're just going to double down on the fact that he's not going to eat. Like he's young kid.
He's like what, 7 or 8?
You've not packed his bag. You've not fed him, and you're like, right, just get your bed yourself in the attic.
Get to bed. Up you go.
Also, another fun fact was that Kevin, despite being home alone in this house, is never seen in his own room. And I'm like, why did she send him to the attic? Why was that where he was sent? Why did he go to his room? Why?
Because she says go to your bed, and then they say, but he says, I don't want to sleep beside Fuller. She says, well, you just go to the attic again.
That's right. Okay.
That's why they kind of they set up the whole like how they've managed to kind of forget about him or whatever. But it's class that's a kind of, and obviously he hits it with some belters to his mum, whatever as well. I wrote something down. I don't know if he actually says it. Does he say that he's going to ask Santa for a new family or?
Yeah.
Or is
something in that vein. Yeah.
Aye, because that's what I wrote, and I'm not sure if I wrote as if he should ask or if that's what he says, but I'm pretty sure that he kind of says that, and then obviously the mum's pretty fucking disheartened by that one, which obviously you fucking would be. But just as an aside, I know Hoodie's watched Schitt's Creek. I did not know growing up, or when I started watching Schitt's Creek, that was the same actress. So it was a wee bit strange for me going back and watching this film now that I know her, if you know what I mean. Like, it's the first time watching it, knowing that actress now. So it was a wee bit odd for me. She's so fucking young.
Yeah, well, Catherine O'Hara is just such a genius. Like, she's been here, there, and everywhere for comedies for a long time. And it was that same thing of, I grew up with this movie and then watched Schitt's Creek, but didn't have the concept of who she was until Schitt's Creek came along, and then went back, and now every time I watch it, I'm like, the baby. It's just in my head. She's great though. She's really, really pulls that out. And in that scene of like her heartbreak, but also again complimenting John Hughes in his writing of, I never said this to my mom, and I wouldn't have, but it is that like child anger where you just want to cut. You just want to say something that will hurt them, and you have no concept of like consequence or ramification or any of that. So when he's saying it, I'm like, yeah, it's a real shit thing to say, but he doesn't understand that. He's a kid. Like, he doesn't think anything of it. It's just whatever's coming out at that moment. But when you see her face, and it's like, oh yeah, it sucks, because I know he doesn't understand, but boy, it still hurts to hear something.
I mean, how many people have said to their mum or dad, like, I hate you, like when they're a child. It's a total natural thing to say. I hate you, I don't love you. You know, it's just like, I'm not winning this argument, so I'm just gonna eat this raw.
Here's a dagger. Here's a dagger to the heart, mum. Good luck. So we obviously, get to the point there where everybody's away to sleep, and they set it up with the whole kind of power outage thing. So when everything kind of comes back, you see that kind of flashing digit signifying, obviously, that everything's been reset. So we've missed the alarms, but I still find it very fucking hard to believe that everybody just slept in, right? But suspension and belief and all that shit. It's just funny that everybody managed to sleep in.
Nobody had to get up to go to the restroom. I mean, the uncle's like, what, mid-50s? There's got to be something leaking.
For sure. So obviously they're all running about fucking mad, and it's a very slow setup, and how they've managed to miscount. And I think they actually did a really good job of that, and in the sense that you've got this kid that's obviously on the block, and he's just fucking
Mitch Murphy.
Yeah, that's it. Not my way. Blah blah blah. What's this? Where are they going? I'm going here. They're going this place. All that stuff. What are you doing? What is this car? What if that happens? And it's just on and on. And you can just imagine that they've got that this fucking Wayne just turns invisible to these guys, because they're just like, shut the fuck up. so they don't even notice him
Yeah.
anymore. So when he starts, going through different things that have been loaded into the car, nobody bats an eyelid to that, and you wouldn't, because you're just like, fucking ignore him. In fact, he talks to me one more time, I'm going to boot him across the road, like, just forget him. So obviously, I wrote in the thing, it's a pretty casual way to set up that the fact that they've managed to miss the things. So everybody's trying to rush around and get together all the other luggage or the different stuff. I still find it's a wee bit weird that it's like the eldest of the kids effectively is doing the counting, rather than just somebody being able to look and see if all the wings are there. Obviously, this kid's just looking at the luggage. He's facing the opposite direction, so she touches his head and counts him as one number, and hence why Kevin's miscounted. I do have like a slight thing which is maybe like old pre 9/11 kind of stuff, whatever. Or it's probably just one of the things where it's just I could just forget about it. It's just a movie. But the fact that like even the flight attendant just does like a rough count when they all run towards the thing, like,
get
do you know what I mean? Quick, and they hand them like the practically like chuck her all the boarding passes, and she's like, as if like she's doing like a tally, and then puts them all like, you're like, all right, okay, like somebody surely. There's too many tickets. That's what the problem with the flight.
Do you know why? Do you know what? Because one of the tickets goes in the bin when.
Is that what ends up happening? So right, okay, good.
Okay, good.
I'll tell you what, though.
So that's where
I have a story that my mom would tell me where when I was 3 and we were going to a different country, I had run off down the I don't know what it's called, but like the tunnel that you get to where you go to the plane. The plane hadn't docked yet, and the attendant was just distracted, so like she didn't even care. So I'm running down there, and Mom sees me, and she's screaming, "No, stop!" Because if I would have just kept running, I would have just fell straight to my death, right?
Oh.
And it is that thing of most of the time you're getting 10,000 people running in and out of your airport. The odds of you wanting to even take the time to bother, and like you said, it could be a post or pre, but I do think this is also just a state of, I've had to deal with 10,000 people, so I totally was like, oh yeah, that's normal. It's fine that she didn't count them. It's totally cool, because I could have fallen to my death and they didn't even notice that. So like,
fair enough. So obviously, we've got that kind of point down. Then obviously they're at the airport, starting to wind down, starting to chill out. Again, we've got more examples of that. The brother just being an absolute asshole. He's rich to the highest degree, and he's just still I think I don't know if he ends up fucking taking something that he shouldn't have. I can't remember exactly for that part, but he's obviously in the plane, and he's just the fucking, everybody must fucking run about after him, all that kind of stuff. He's just a rude fucker, the uncle.
Yeah.
So, but obviously it spins back to Kevin, who wakes up, and that's also when we find out that he's been fucking left back. It feels a bit weird for me that it's as if at first like he just forgets that he was supposed to be gone on holiday, that way where he just kind of wakes up and he's looking for people and all that kind of stuff. Like eventually obviously he makes that comment where he sees the cars and he's like, oh, I must not have went to the airport, the cars are still there, and just to kind of try and pepper in these wee points. Now obviously we know that he's made that kind of wish, or they wasn't they didn't have they weren't there anymore. So he's obviously wandering around the house trying to find anybody or any signs of anybody, which is obviously where we've first come around the kind of crazy looking boiler that seems to know Kevin's name in the basement, which I think is really funny, really good touch, especially for kids and stuff, because everybody's got that one item, back in the day where you're like, oh man, I'm not getting anywhere near that, and you see that boiler, and it literally is like something out of like a mad fucking scientist's place. Like it's just this chomping furnace looking thing with about 40 pipes coming out it. It's quite fucking obviously for effect, quite fucking dangerous looking anyway. But we obviously see the old cheesy kind of segment there with the whole eyebrows, which I can't do, the kind of raising. There you go, Gary's pulling that off, raising the eyebrows down straight down the fucking camera lens, before it kind of sets off as running around the house, which is
I made
effectively
my family
dreams.
disappear.
That's the one.
Such a
That's the
Ferris
one.
Bueller move. I love
That's
it
it.
so much.
Yeah, exactly that. So, we'll probably pick up the pace as we're going through for some of these, but I do want to stop. Gary's mentioned it already. Obviously, he goes into Buzz's room and he's throwing the Playboy away, and then sees the picture of the girlfriend, and that's quite a good fun fact that you have with that. But
Do you want another
aye.
fun fact on that Playboy? That Playboy actually was taped. They taped it perfectly on different pages so so Macaulay Culkin couldn't see any naked people.
Oh, that's good. There you go.
Oh,
See,
there
we
you
go.
go. That's another wee fun fact.
There you go. Gary's coming out with them. Easy.
Hey.
So obviously Gary's covered the famous line that, "Oh, your girlfriend, woof." It's just fucking absolute class. Great fucking line. And then we obviously have the air rifle. I don't know if there's anything in here that explains why this fucker's such a good shot.
Nope.
With this fucking gun. Is it just fucking that's it? Yeah, it just is what it is. Because my god, man,
This plays into what I'm saying, where it goes in and out of John Hughes being able to capture like being a kid, and then like he's like a trained sniper. I'm like, okay, right. No kid has that good of a hand-eye coordination. Let's calm down here.
I wrote that one there. I literally wrote the words "fucking hotshot sniper" as the words that I'd written down as my notes, because he does literally just fucking set about the place.
Yeah.
So we've got the next part where he's made his sell his dessert, which I think is perfectly apt. Is the kid's first thing that they're going to try and pull together. But that plateful that he had was a fucking disaster, man. Like he'd like marshmallows and then like ice cream on top of it. It's not even like in a bowl. It was on like a big plate with like chocolate sauce. It's just fucking perfect.
Sweet potato.
Sweet potato somewhere in there, I'm sure. Call back to the last episodes. And then we get the first rendition of probably one of the most famous lines in this film, when Kevin's watching the film within a film. He's watching it, and obviously the guy's reading it. Keep the change if off your animal, and I'm sure Gary will redeliver that later on when we when it comes back into the actual film. But it's, as I say, it's one of those kind of classic lines. And he obviously makes good use of that later. But when you turn the kind of cameras back onto the family, and you see that they're talking, they're in the airport, and it's that kind of terrible feeling setting in, and the first thing that comes to their mind is,
and then a plane, though, in the airport. In a plane.
They're in the plane, literally fucking flying across the country, heading towards fucking Paris at this point, probably right out of the water, and then they turn around, and the first thing that comes to mind is, do we turn the coffee off? Like, if we definitely think of the coffee off? No, and it's, do you know what it is? It must be the fucking, it must be the fact that we didn't close the garage doors. You're like, what? Like, come on. And that obviously leads to the famous line of her just solely focusing on her shouting, "Kevin!" so it's going to fucking hell it. Honestly, man, just fucking ridiculous. So that I made a note, obviously, that we've miscounted, but surely they must. The blame is solely on the two of them. letting, or between the adults anyway, letting the kids do the counting. If you counted to make sure you're all here, like, that's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard. And then I wrote, I don't know what he done, but I wrote under that, Uncle Frank, still a prick, and then reading glasses. I don't know what I mean by that, but he is still a prick.
Uncle Frank steals the salt and pepper shakers.
That's what it was.
In the aeroplane, because he's like, oh, these are real crystal. He's like, put them in your bag, put them in your bag.
Aye, that's what I wrote up there. That's why I wrote that he was a. I don't even remember what it was I wrote, but I wrote something that was like, fucking, oh, there it goes. Brother's an asshole, Richie rich but steals stuff. I never wrote what he actually stole, so I was like, I'm not reading that out because I fucking don't remember what he stole, but that's how the rich stay rich. They steal for everybody else.
Can I just say the Kevin bit? I love that bit. You know, it's a wee bit. It's a wee bit of disbelief. You know, because they're sitting going through stuff, and then she all of a sudden realizes or Wayne that she's not looking at the back of the plane, going, "Where is everybody?" She just decides in her seat, like, "Oh, it's Kevin. We forgot." Like, I don't know how she comes to that bit of knowledge. You know,
Aye.
surely you'd be walking up and down the plane, going, "Where is he?" First, no, we would just go,
Aye.
"Oh, Kevin." But anyway, I think it's a funny scene. I think. They did it in the first film and they did it in the second film, and I think the both of them are hilarious. Just the way she screams, it's so convincing. You know, it's that like, oh fuck, like what have I done? And you're right. The fucking how has nobody reported these two for child neglect?
Yeah, between starving them, forgetting them, doing all that stuff. Okay, I like the fact that she jumps to the conclusion that it's Kevin that's missing, solely because we all have established he's an asshole. The fact that she was having a peaceful flight, that was the thing. What is it that we don't see for the rest of the 364 days? What is it that we're not seeing from Kevin?
I think we can safely surmise it as a lot of fucking shithouse area for Kevin.
It's people on fire.
Obviously next we get the orchestrated kind of part there where the timers, the wet bandits, if you like, are obviously managing to study the auto lights that come on, and it's obviously an old tech, but you know, something that probably a lot of people have started to use with their Alexas and things like that. Obviously back then it was a fixed dial. So it would be exactly the same time all the time that these things would come on and off again. So I thought it was quite fun to kind of for them to talk through and show kind of what was happening and stuff. The bandits themselves probably worth mentioning.
I think this is the point of the movie. It's a wee bit like you just need to turn your brain off, because it's like every single person in this street, doesn't matter if they're rich, every single person in this street just decided to go on holiday for Christmas. Like every single house. Like, all right, okay. Like nobody has Christmas in the house in this street. All right, okay.
But that one guy.
Anyway, but also, apart from the old guy.
Nobody has a house sitter. Not a single one of them.
I know. I know. But again, I mean, I wrote the same thing here. Just the fact that the old guy, obviously is realizing that he sees that Kevin's still like he sees him, so he must know he's still in the house. But he must know that they all left. He just got to know that, so he must know that he's there himself. I don't know. It's just similar to what you're saying. You do have to turn your brain off. I'll try and minimalise the amount of different shite that comes up that you kind of have to switch off, because we probably could speak for about another 3 hours just based on all of that. So obviously we see Kevin and he's he's into kid mode, getting the old Grinch cartoon on, just back to being a normal kid, just zoning the absolute fuck out. He's just wanting to chill out and live his best life, and then obviously the quick thinking when he sees somebody obviously trying to kind of come in or whatever, he just flicks the back light on, making sure as if so that somebody knows that they're in, which is quick thinking and shows a wee bit more intelligence than somebody that doesn't know how to pack a bag. But whatever that's as for it is, you just have to kind of again suspend disbelief. So fair enough. So we're back in the airport again, where we've landed and it's all panic, all go. She's fucking talking to the French woman, kicking her off the phone. Typical American, you know what I mean? Just rudely kicking somebody off the phone. Then the camera pans and there's okay. The camera,
you're not wrong, but
the camera pans and there's like other phones kicking about. She's like, call everybody you know, like and that kind of thing. And it's kind of as if like, well, Hoodie, she literally just had to kick somebody off to get a phone. So that, like, how are you supposed to be able to phone anybody? And then like what I was wondering is, see, like obviously it turns around and it's the kids that she's saying to, like, phone everybody that you know. Like, who are they gonna know? That's gonna, do you know what I mean? That's gonna be there, like, and would they even have tried anybody? Like, it doesn't look like they tried.
We're gonna call
anybody.
Mitch Murphy.
Mitch Murphy.
Mitch Murphy, yeah, they're gonna call him. They're gonna see what he's up to.
It's, I don't know, it's just such a strange thing. Funny though, obviously, and then obviously you get the kind of police incompetence, if you like, as well, with the fact that they just cannot fucking seem to help for loving their money on that phone call. When they're speaking.
Did you ever pick up that police officer's name?
What was it?
Officer Balzac.
Yeah. Also, the subtlety of eating donuts.
I was obviously, they're passing in between the two of them, and it just does night off. It's class. I really enjoyed that. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
That whole thing where they're literally just between the wall in it.
My own fun fact: the Officer Balzac, he was the person who destroys the RV in Breaking Bad. He's the junkyard owner.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just its own little fun fact.
Oh, yeah, that's quite good, isn't it? That's quite cool.
Yeah.
There we go.
Spoilers for Breaking Bad.
Who cares? Right, okay, all good. So obviously the next thing that they're talking about is the she's trying to get different options to get back up the road, and hits it with the whole private plane thing. Like, they've got the money for that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
As soon as I heard that, I'm like, that's fucking absolute madness. So obviously, like, she's trying to be the most kind of caring mum that she possibly can be. Leaving herself in the airport and all that. But do you know what? I think it's a wee bit kind of weird that they're all like, all right, okay, right, see you later, and she's like, right, bye, like, if you're happy and smiling and stuff as they're all leaving the airport. Like, I don't know, it just seems a wee bit fucking strange to me rather than anything else.
She's probably just saving face at that point, but for the rest of the airways, you don't want to see. I think the last thing you'd want to see is them on pure greeting and like, oh my god, what have I done? And like, she's just like I'm trying to make it best at a bad situation here. So like, see you later. Oh, thanks very much for like dying inside. Like, see you soon.
Now, I get that, but it was definitely more over enthusiastic. That smile.
Now, I don't have kids, nor would I ever want them. But am I alone in thinking this? Where I'm going, I mean, it's one kid, and he is in a nice house. It's not like, we're already in Paris. Just call him and be like, "Are you okay?" Just leave him there for the week. Like, I don't know, man. Part of me was like, you're gonna go all the way back. That seems like a lot of work for one kid.
I think you would do. I think you would try and go back.
I
mean, this is a boy that didn't even know to take his toothbrush to holiday. You know what I mean? They're just like, he's going to end up eating rat poison or something like that.
That's fair.
Setting the place on fire. So obviously we then switch back, and Kevin's again living his best life, and he's going to set up his kind of monologue as he's getting ready. He's getting ready, and he's doing his hair, and he's doing whatever else. Like, what I wanted to know is he slapped. Obviously, there's the whole slap in the face with the aftershave, whatever. Like, is he doing that because he sees other people like
Yeah.
screaming? Like, because the aftershave is only sore if you've shaved. Like, it doesn't hurt the skin if the pores are in the open, which only happens when you've shaved. Like, it doesn't just burn your skin just because. Like,
Yeah,
unless it's like cheap shit. But
I read that more as like this movie didn't have time to make people understand that it doesn't hurt, but this is going to be funnier. This isn't.
okay, cool.
Yeah, this
Aye.
will be funnier if he screams, even though it's not realistic.
Right, okay. Fair dues, fair dues. So obviously, he's away back. Danny's investigating as a kid would do, and starts climbing the bookcase to thief some money. And I thought it was again Gary had it spot on where you just have to suspend disbelief a wee bit here, and it's this dramatization. I mean, he climbs up the bookcase, but somehow manages to snap every single board on that fucking bookcase, like clean in half.
Looney Tunes.
Exactly, that's exactly what it's like. So Kevin's got himself some money, and he's off to the stores to get himself some stuff. But we go back again to old Marvin Harry, the wet bandits there. I thought that was quite good. The whole setup, to kind of show them that that house is still empty or whatever. The fact that he's no fucking that person's leaving a voicemail, whatever. Like again, it's just the small things like between that and like I said at the start of the episode when it was like, oh, he can't, or the alarms have been reset because the power went off. Like they don't say it, but it's just they just use some other things and some other ways to be able to kind of introduce that kind of stuff.
I think the minute you see Harry and Marvin this, it's kind of like you realise like they're not just like two stupid wee guys that are just trying to break into houses. They're like these are like professional criminals at this point, you know. I mean, every time you see them, they're breaking into somebody's house, and every time it's a different house or they're casing out a house, you know.
Yeah.
So they're like hardened criminals at this point. So I think it just gives you that extra wee bit as well. And as you said, just that telling them, "Oh, even not like it was on last night. There's dead in the house now." What do they think? Which just sets them up to go back to their crown jewel, which I think Marv calls it something like that.
Aye, it is something along those lines. So then obviously Kevin's in the shop and he's he's fucking annoying the woman, asking fucking stupid questions about this toothbrush, man. Just being a kid, and that's really all that is. And then obviously,
What is this? The Dental Association recommended
Uh,
or approved?
Yeah.
What kind of question is that?
fucking madness. So Kevin's buying his toothbrush, but obviously he's the fucking scary old neighbour shows up. I still think it's a wee bit weird. Obviously he talks later, but why does he not just talk to him?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what you doing here or something? I don't know. Just like pure, just fucking staring at him. Of course he's going to run away. It's a bit strange why he fucking runs away with a toothbrush right enough, but
Yeah, that was the other one of the nitpicks that I had of like, well, if I was afraid, I would have dropped that shit and ran. I wouldn't have kept it, and I wouldn't have slowly backed up. I do think when he never talks to him, I still think that's because we're in the head of Kevin, where
Yeah.
again, everyone's scary to you when
Yeah.
you're that small. So like, there is probably him smiling or like going, "Excuse me, kid," at some point, but we don't hear that because Kevin is terrified of him thanks to Buzz being an asshole. So like, his perspective is, no, this guy's a monster, and anything he says or does also reflects him continuously being a monster in my mind.
Yeah, so all he knows that when he turned that light on, because he doesn't look out. I don't think you see the wet bandits at that point, because he could probably think that was him.
Yeah.
You know, at that point, he could probably think that was old man Marley trying his back door, trying to get in as well. Like as
True,
you said,
aye.
it's that kid mentality. You're just jumping the gun and just
Right.
making up stories in your own head. It's the same with the boiler situation, isn't it? Like it probably
Oh,
never
yeah.
actually says Kevin, but every time he sees it, he's like, "I shout my name," like
Yeah.
it's in that
Aye.
kid brain.
Aye. No, true. Obviously, we're fucking running. I've almost had fucking hour and a half as it is, so I'll try and pick up the pace a wee bit as we move forward. But if there's anything that I miss, please make sure that we speak up and we'll jump back to them. But I have a couple of notes here. Obviously, after he's been charged or shouted after for the shoplifting thing, it's a bit fun that the post officer kind of seem to catch up with him, and then obviously he's got that fucking Omega fucking knee slide right across the ice, which is just pretty classic, obviously, but it's just one of those.
Record.
Exactly, it's one of the things you look and go, "Fuck off!" That's fucking just a ridiculous thing. Then we obviously cut to the Wet Bandits having their conversation where it's, oh, you've done that thing again, whatever. And he's like, well, that's why we're called the Wet Bandits, no, because we leave the water running, and you've got the other boys kind of saying as if he's taking the moral high ground. He's, as if, but why would you, why do that? As if, why ruin, as effectively says, why ruin that person's house, or why ruin that person's stuff or whatever. And you're like, it's just a kind of funny conversation, obviously, which almost kind of results in Kevin being run over.
I know. I know they're probably not the blueprint, but in my head now, forever, they're the blueprint for Walter and Jesse, because it's the similar thing of Walter having the conversation of Jesse, why are you putting chili powder in this? He's like, because I'm chili P. And like, such a dumb reasoning. You're like, oh, well, that's why Harry's just a little bit smarter.
Well, you say that, but the very next part is obviously them sneaking up on him, but in the van, like it's some sort of cartoon where they're like moving the van like right behind them. Like
I half expected the tires to start tiptoeing.
Exactly. That's what came into my mind there with the cartoon, like, because that's what it was like. It's just creeping up right behind them rather than just sitting in the car in the drive waiting to see where he went. But anyway, regardless, the nativity trick was pretty neat.
That could also be that child brain thing as well. That could be literally they could be like pulled out and just sat there. But in Kevin's mind,
you could explain that.
Creep up kind of thing.
I think they're just stupid.
I think this is the one that gets the no, they are just stupid.
Aye. There's nothing inconspicuous about doing that, as you said, looking about. So I with a quick trick with the nativity and hiding and within the thing. I actually rewinded it because I'm like, can you see him? But you can't see him, but you can see him in the nativity scene with the cloak on him when they're driving by. You just kind of see that it is him. So pretty cool trick by Kevin. Obviously, later on we see another quick trick in that we have the party trick, where he has the all the cutouts and dancing and all that stuff. Again, very fun, as you say. Very fun. Suspend disbelief that he's somehow managed to do that within an hour. It's madness, but still good.
That's one of my favourite scenes in this full film. It just starts to show you how actual smart Kevin is and stuff like that, and I just like the Michael Jordan one, just like just dancing away on the train. I don't know. I just really like it. And obviously, it's playing Brenda Lee rocking. I can't remember what it's called, rocking around the Christmas tree or something like that.
That's it. Aye.
And it just like that Halloween, not Halloween. It's just that pure Christmas festive like moment. Because in this film, realistically, this could be set at any time, but it just keeps that wee bit of it's Christmas. Remember, it's Christmas.
Aye. So obviously, he's away getting ready, but the pizza guy's kind of back again. Getting his kind of pizza, which obviously sets up the next. That's other arm again is what he says, fucking terrible. I thought the gun gag bit, which they use obviously twice in the film, but I thought it was quite funny what they do with the boy just leaving it running. The whole obviously change gag again, but keeping that kind of I'll fill you with lead and all that. No, he's fucking running away. It's just still funny, man. Still funny.
I'll give you to the count of 10.
Yeah, exactly. So we it's came back and forward, cutting back and forward between Kevin and the airport scene. I thought the whole kind of polka band thing was like fucking weird as anything, but probably just adds to the whole thing that she's probably like over it by now. You know what I mean? Like she just wants to get back to Kevin. So they've just.
They have the little segment where she's like trying to bribe the lady to give her a ticket. I just that whole thing. Oh, is that a Rolex? I mean, it could be. You just like think about it, and it is that thing of you're giving away like priceless heirlooms, practically your soul at this point. Like you're saying, she's just over it when it gets to the poker guy. Like, yeah, okay, okay, I gotta get out of here.
So in terms of the whole the kind of next bits, then there's the big setup. The thing that a lot of people like or some people like taking it introduced in their films, but Kevin obviously goes out and he cuts his own wee tree down, nice and cute, gets his end top of the tree, puts the baubles and that on it, and that's when he obviously sees the reflection of them, which is fucking madness. But anyway, sees the reflection, and then obviously that sets up that famous line of "Oh, he's home alone," which just fucking creeps me out that they are even entertaining getting anyone near a kid on his own. But whatever.
Let me tell you what, though, they say "Home Alone" so many times in this movie, and the more they said it, the more part of me was like, Peter Griffin is dying inside the amount of times he has to sit up in that seat. They say it so many times that it should be a drinking game at this point. I don't think I ever noticed that until I rewatched it just 2 days ago, where I was like, what? Oh, they don't stop.
No, they don't. Stop. They don't stop, and they don't stop being stupid as they walk away from the house, talking about the plans, out loud, for everybody to hear. So, so we continue on. Obviously, Kevin's, I've skipped over a couple of points, but when Kevin's starting to feel a wee bit kind of sad and missing the kind of family members and things like that, which is a bit strange because none of them, he had that run in with him. But I think it's one of the things where it's just like he's just so used to having that kind of thing. Eventually, obviously, that you need that kind of company. You need somebody to annoy. You need to do that kind of stuff.
Stockholm.
I think it's at that point he's had his freedom for a couple of days. He's realising like, wait, I'm not actually ready for any of this stuff yet.
Yep.
I need my mum and dad, and
maybe somebody better come back here. Yep, exactly. So he's got away and he's looking for help, just to try, or help or advice or whatever it is, to try and undo what he's done. Obviously, seeking out some assistance from the big man Santa himself, which obviously ends up running into that kind of smoking Santa, fake, wants back to just wants away. He's done for the day, and Kevin obviously starts telling about that he's lost his entire family and whatever else. And obviously, the guy feeling bad, thinking he's literally lost them. He's some Tic Tacs, I think it was, had a couple of Tic Tacs or something. So
nobody
thought was quite funny.
Visits Santa and walks away empty-handed. I got something for you. Another fun fact: Chris Farley auditioned for that role, didn't get it. But...
very good.
I'm glad he had Tic Tacs in his pocket, because God knows what he was going to give him if he never.
Cigar.
Oh dear. So we obviously switched. He's looking for some guidance in the church, it appears. So he's away to the church. I thought the choir singing was. I always find choir singing quite chilling in the kind of scenes and that's kind of how they kind of set it up. Obviously, as the old kind of guy shows up in the church. A nice, obviously, conversation that they kind of run through. But obviously, I put a note here that wise words for Kevin, which makes you kind of think like is either he's just kind of came to these realizations himself over his own experience, like for the past couple of days, that they kind of strong feelings of missing his family and whatever else. Like that's the only way that he could have come up with this kind of wise advice, because literally an hour ago into the film, he fucking wasn't sure about a toothbrush. You know what I mean? So it's just
I like to think in that scene they just kind of stumbled on that advice. No, I mean I like to think that he's not actually wise about it. He just as you said, he's just to everything he's went through is that sort of regret, and he's just living through that, and he literally just says it, and it's not that it's, as I said, it's not that he's a wise like sage or anything like that. He's just like saying what has been happening the last couple of days, and the guys just went, oh, that's kind of pertains to my life.
Yeah. So we'll obviously the very next part is those bells chiming, which is signifying Kevin that he needs to head back home because it's almost time for the big battle plan. So Hoodie's mentioned it in his fun facts off the bat there that the battle plans were drawn up. I don't know when the fuck he's supposed to have found the time to do that, but he did. Fucking almost inch perfectly to scale. These plans of the house. I'm not sure. Do any of you have? I mean, I can quickly run through them because I wrote the majority of them down. But do any of you have like a kind of standout? Because obviously the next bit is him getting all his different plans and traps ready. Do any of you have a kind of standout favourite kind of one for the traps that he's laid out?
The ornaments. Love the ornaments. It's such a smart move of like, I think even I would think of that kind of thing. Of the rest of them, I'm like, okay, again, trained assassin, Kevin McAllister over here. I don't think as a kid anyone would come up with that conclusion, but the ornaments, those ones I would, or like Legos, those ones.
Yeah. I like the stairs one. I like the frozen stairs.
That's
something we used to do when we were younger. We didn't used to freeze stairs, but we used to, if we knew it was going to be freezing the next day, we used to go up with buckets and throw them on the buckets of water, throw it on the road, so it would freeze it.
That's terrible.
So we had somewhere to slide the next day.
I take it back. Everything Kevin came up with was right. Gary did it. It's based on Gary's life. This is a documentary.
So I've got, as I say, my favourite's probably, and it's probably one of the most brutal, like the fact that it comes up with the nail, the tarred, the tarred stairs and the nail, whatever. But in case I'm sure the people listening have watched it, but running through them, obviously has the heating the handle up to kind of burn their hands when they open that. I've mentioned the sticky tar and the nail traps. Setting himself up with the escape route, I thought was quite clever as well, with the kind of rope all the way out of the other house, his wee house. The feathers and the glue as well was pretty fucking cool. I really enjoyed that one. And then obviously as they approach the house, he gets out his gun and shoots him right in the to set off this whole kind of thing after they've navigated the frozen steps and he fucking right back down them. Shout out to the Muttley-esque kind of noise that he kind of lets out, which I thought was really fucking really good, really funny.
Another wee bit of trivia for that is Joe Pesci actually kept swearing, and Chris Columbus can't get him into trouble for swearing during the scene. So instead of that, he kept saying to him, like, don't say like fuck, say fudge or France or something like that. And instead of doing that, they decided to start doing the.
That's good. Nice bit of trivia there. So as you guys said there, and getting to the slippy steps. Both of them got the two of them. Iron on the rope was obviously pretty good. Obviously, everything starts to kind of slowly pay off there. Where it ends up with burnt hands. Kevin's in full fucking celebration mode at this point as everything just starts to come up. Fucking in abundance for him. The next one for me is obviously quite funny with the blowtorch gag as he walks through the fucking door and that's his full kind of heat and fire, which just for me, like, and I wrote this down. For me, if I was the two of them, I'd be like, right, let's go fucking him. Fuck this gun. Get him. Fuck him. Don't care what he's got in there. I don't want it to do with him. I don't know who the fuck he is, but I'm out. But obviously relentless and determined. They keep harping on. Now you can see obviously that it's Hoodie's favourite bit was the ornaments, and you can see this coming a mile away where he's fucking lost his shoes and all that stuff, and you can see him walking towards the window, and you're like, you are fucked. You're just fucked. You're going to walk straight into all the ornaments, and again I wrote your rubber feet exactly, and I wrote again, fucking actually did right. Give up, because I fucking would, because honestly, like, I would have just gave up.
See that in the nail scene, like standing on the nail and I just think to myself, like, that, like, I wince every time he stands on a bauble and it just bursts, and I'm like, oh my god, I literally wince, and I'm like, how sore would that be? And see, actually talk about all this, how they see these stunt guys, they should have been getting triple time on this movie, man. There's no way they did a day off for this stuff and it didn't actually hurt. Like, see that fall down the stairs, like Joe Pesci's stunt double literally falls, literally lands on the stairs and then rolls back, and it's like, how's that no sore?
Yep, exactly. Exactly. And speaking of no sore, obviously they put a good one with this one where they get the paint tin as well, which just fucking straight up clocked them with it, which was it's fucking another ingenious one. Obviously we'll get the phones now working, which obviously fucking saves the day there. The spider and the screaming bit is just absolutely fucking hilarious. One of the best bits about this, it's just that whole, like, him being knocked out and coming to, and him just, like, him he's standing over him with the fucking crowbar, and he's just looking up at him going, "What you doing, Marv?" Like, what you doing? He's like, "Oh, it's still." No, he just fucking clubs him, like, fucking near enough bust his fucking ribs probably with the hit him with the way he hit him with that fucking thing. Obviously
see that scream with the spider. I love that scene. That is like probably one of my favourite scenes in this entire movie, because I just think that's exactly the way my wife would sound if you just plopped a spider right on her, man, and that shrill scream. It's like he's just about to die the way he screams. It's that brilliant. I love it.
Superb. Probably one of the best, the best bits for the like setting up and how he would have kind of got away, because you think to yourself, fuck, he's fucking out of luck here, and just I think it was the 1-2, the scream, and then setting up into the whole, like, just it's that like fly on somebody's head moment, where they're like ready to fucking banjo them and the guys and the things away. It's just one of the fucking funny things. So Kevin obviously does the off across his escape route, and then these two fucking morons trying to like hand fucking move their way across the rope, just absolutely ridiculous. That for some reason they thought that was the best idea to try and get away from Kevin, but I suppose it's the safer option rather than heading back through the house. Let's be honest. Sack that, because that's obviously what they think he's trying to do and try to set up. So in terms of, obviously, he set them up. He's left the water running in that other house as well. So that he's so that they get caught and get tied into all the different robberies and whatever else. So clever again. It's for Kevin, all good. So we've escaped the wet bandits, and finally the mum is home, so we'll get Christmas morning. I thought it was quite cute that he leaves it, like he's saying, like the carrots and the cookies and milk and stuff like that. Like it shows like he shows out that kind of independence again, that he's, he doesn't really need the kind of other people, whatever else. So the mum's home, and I've no idea how they ever wrote in the fact that the house hasn't literally no damage done to the house. Like everything's back to normal. There's literally like nothing wrong. I think there's like a wee piece of broken, like the one of the baubles or something. I can't remember what it was, but it's literally nothing, no damage whatsoever.
It's his gold tooth.
Oh, that's what it was. Aye, that's it. Exactly, aye. Which is just madness. So I wrote here there that the family obviously all kind of returns in as well. Dad's kind of back, but it just kind of seems like nobody else, like none of the other ones, are like too fussed. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's obviously like the mum comes in and dad comes in, and then like everybody else is just like, whatever. Like they're
That's
just
back
kind of
to
back.
normal.
Like
Aye.
it's just, really,
I
really.
think that's quite a funny scene. Like when the mum walks in, obviously we've been through her journey as well, and all of the sacrifices she's been going through, trying to, as who they say, selling bloody her heirlooms and her
Yep.
my watch and my earrings, and then has to put up with these polka kings for like 300 miles and all that. And she literally walks in, and 2 seconds later, the dad walks through the door, probably in first class flights, no bother whatsoever.
Easy.
But I think that's a good scene as well. But it's just obviously an understated scene, but I think it's quite good one.
No, it's a nice touch. Very, and they play it very quickly, just as you say. It's probably one that you would pick up as an adult more than anything else, or more than you were younger.
I like that everybody else is just they don't care because they still remember that he's an asshole. Nobody else remembered that. Everybody, the mom, the dad, you know what? They should have been in the same boat of how you're awful. You're an awful child.
They just walked straight back in and went, "Get your room, go to the attic."
Yeah,
you're a disease. So it's Hoodie points out there that obviously they've come back in and they don't seem overly too fussed, which obviously sets up the kind of cheesy ending, which is that kind of what did you get up to kind of thing, like just went shopping, hung around, that kind of thing. And then obviously we see the neighbour and the family, which is quite nice. I quite like that they decided to kind of show that. They didn't need to do that, so pretty good seeing what kind of impact a kind of a more grown up Kevin over the last couple of days has managed to influence. And then we obviously have the final line of the film, which is Buzz obviously shouting, Kevin, what did you do to my room? As if that's the only room that Kevin didn't manage to sort out. Which, whatever. If it was me, his would be the first room that I'd be fixing, but that's just me. So yeah, that was the quick run through of Home Alone.
I think only one thing I want to say is the house itself. I think that needs to be named as a character because that house is fantastic. And I don't know if anybody else picked up, but did you notice that every single room is either green, red, or gold? Like they totally stick with the full like Christmas colours. Every room's got poinsettia flowers in it, which is everybody knows is the Christmas flowers. I've got them there. I'm not going to pull them out, but. But I just love how everything is so Christmassy in that entire house. It just adds for this is my castle for Kevin. And I'm going to defend it at all costs.
Good on him.
It is a Christmas movie through and through. Where I think there's things like Elf that are just obviously this is a Christmas movie, but then there's Christmas movies that it's just there and that it is, even if it's not the main crux of the movie. And I think that this is great at doing that.
Yep.
Aye.
Do you know what? That's something my wife said. My wife was like, "Do you know what this would?" Yeah, that she said she was like, "Home Alone could really be hanging at any time. They just need the family to go away." And I was like, "You're right. Like maybe a Halloween Home Alone would have been quite good as well." But I don't know. It just makes it just using the Christmas soundtrack and having all the Christmas stuff. I don't know. It just adds to it.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I probably a Home Alone Halloween would have probably been all right, but it's something about it just making it Christmas.
Eventually, next Christmas when we review Home Alone 2 and work our way up through all these movies once a year. Some of the concepts for the later ones. I think the newest one that was on Disney Plus that I'm pretty sure I'm the only person on earth that watched it and liked it. That one goes back to like the Christmas thing of, okay, this movie doesn't understand what Home Alone 1 understood so well, where Christmas is a backdrop and a character, where I feel like in the newer ones, it is just a backdrop. Even within Home Alone 2, I'd say the same thing, where, Christmas is more of a backdrop in that one than it is in the first one, where it is such a character in the way they play around with, like, showing the Grinch, showing all of those things really do keep you in the holiday mood throughout it, where you're never forgetting that. It's not just, oh, there's a Christmas tree in the background. I mean, some of the traps are Christmas themed, like him stepping on the ornaments, stuff like that. All of it plays in tandem where you're watching us going, oh, okay, yeah, this is, they're understanding that you don't need to beat me over the head that Santa Claus is coming to town, but it is very much in the spirit of Christmas throughout it. I really appreciate that about this movie.
Aye, for sure. Gary, you get into it, mate?
No, that's it. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 20, sorry.
That's it. 10 out of 20.
10 out of 20. Must see. Don't listen to Mr. Mac. This should be on your Christmas rotation. Constantly, 1 and 2, straight after each other. Mr. Mac, silence, stand down.
Aye. Like I said, I don't have anything against the film, and watch it fucking 4 times a day if you want. I don't care. I've literally it's just one of the films. For me, I felt if I've been any kind of critical, I felt the I don't know. At times it felt as if like come on, like next bit. But I think that might be because I actually had a bit of an issue with trying to fit it in this week, so I had to watch it. And I had to watch it in parts, just because I was busy doing other things. So that's probably why for me. But no, it's a brilliant film, absolute classic film, and I'm looking forward to. I actually might put on the second one in the next couple of days. Just to keep the kind of flow going, because I know Hoodie has mentioned the second one a few times, that it's quite up there as one of his favourites, so I'll get that checked out.
Stop! Don't go any further.
Yep, that's fine.
Definitely stop after the second one.
Yep, for sure. Right, okay, guys. So that's us for our last episode of the year, as I mentioned before. Hopefully, our second video podcast. Bear with us if it's not, and if there's anything that you feel like we could improve on, if we did manage to get the video podcast, and then leave a comment below. If you get any thoughts on Home Alone or anything that you feel like we missed as well. Give us a wee comment, a wee like as well. It'd be really appreciated. Hopefully we should return pretty soon into the new year with our predictions episode. I'm again eagerly looking forward to that. Looking forward to the kind of different stuff that our Gary's going to pluck out of fresh air. So we'll see what ends up coming of that. So until next time, hopefully you all have a very, very happy festive Christmas period, and all the best for the new year from myself and the full team. So take care and have a good one.
I'll give you to the count of 10 to like and subscribe, you filthy animals.
Bugger, you just stole my thing. You know what? Goodbye, children.
Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Vault Dwellers Podcast. You can keep up with Gary Moore at Gary Moore's Art over on Instagram. Keep up with myself, Twitter, on Twitch at MrMac92, and you can't keep up with Hoodie at The Penny Marvels over on Instagram. A very special shout out to Al, the Predator Tribesman, for creating the intro and outro music. Thanks again for listening. Take care. Bye.